Hello, my crafty friends. Are you ready to learn a new fun technique? Well, today I am going to show you two different ways that you can use this very simple paper cutting technique to create some absolutely gorgeous cards. Hi, it's Lynn Dunn from Stamptastic Designs. Thanks so much for joining me today. In this episode of Stamptastic TV, I have two different ways that you can use this paper cutting technique to create some beautiful cards. Now I'm going to show you how to use your paper trimmer to create a little slit here in our cardstock so that we can slide our paper through it. Pretty cool, hey? Now the cards in this video feature the Poinsettia Petals stamp set and the gorgeous Poinsettia Place Designer Series paper. All right, so let's get started. Okay, so this is the first card that we're going to make. So we're going to use this technique with a card that's kind of in this landscape style, and then I'll show you how to do the same exact technique using the portrait style. So basically what we're going to do is just cut two little slits in our card front, and then we're going to slide our Designer Series paper piece right through those two little openings. So what you will notice on the inside of the card is that I have the paper, the back of this paper shows through on the inside of the card. So this is a fun and simple technique, and it's just a great way to show off your designer paper. So let's get started. Okay, so the first thing you want to do is, of course, choose your pattern paper, which I've already done, and then you want to choose a card base that coordinates with that pattern paper. So I recommend choosing a lighter color simply because we're going to be doing some stamping directly onto this cardstock. So you want like a crumb cake or a white or vanilla, some kind of light color that you can use a darker color to stamp on. So you're going to start out with a piece of cardstock that is cut at 5.5 by 8.5 inches. So we're going to be actually doing our cutting on this side because when the card is closed, this is the front of our card. So what I'm going to do is just line up my cardstock at the 1-inch mark, and then I'm going to take my cutter and we're going to make a 2-inch slot here. So we're going to make a 2-inch long cut. So we'll start at the 1-inch mark on the paper trimmer, and then we'll cut down to the 3-inch mark. So that's the cool thing about this paper trimmer, is that it has these little lines here so that I can line it up at 1 and 3. So after I make my first cut, so I had lined this up on the 1-inch mark here, then I'm going to slide down to 2 inches, and I'm going to make the exact same cut. So from 3 back to 1. Okay, so now I have two little cuts into my card front, and now I'm going to show you the fun part of this. Okay, so now we are ready to decorate this card. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to stamp my greeting right away on this piece of cardstock before I decorate it like this card. It'll just be a lot easier to put the greeting on first and then put the designer paper through here. All right, so now what you can see here is that I have, from making those cuts, I have these little slots here. I have a piece of designer paper that is cut at 2 inches wide, and it's 4¼ inches long. So it's the full length of the card front. But notice how it's 2 inches wide. So remember, we cut this at 2 inches. So if I cut this appropriately, hopefully I did, we can slide this right through. There we go. So we'll just slide that right behind there. And voila, we have a really fun card front. So now I'm just going to add some liquid glue just behind here, just to hold this down. And then we'll do the same on the bottom. So you can just lift up the flap, you know, and try to get it in the corners here. And then we can put that down. Okay. See how easy that was? I hope you thought that was easy. Okay, so now we can go ahead and decorate it. So what I did is just cut out one of the poinsettias from a piece of the designer series paper, and I'm just going to use it as an embellishment on the card. So we'll just add that up here. Okay, so we'll add a little bit of linen thread to embellish the card, and I'm just going to trim off this excess. And then for the finishing touch, we can just add a couple little pearls. I'm using some metallic pearls to embellish the card. Okay, so that's what the front of the card looks like. And then now on the inside of the card, you see that the back of the paper is showing through here. And that's because we slid it through that little section on the front. But I'm going to go ahead and decorate the inside of this card too. So just to give you a couple little decorating ideas here, I used the same designer paper, and I'm actually just using up some scrap pieces. So the pieces are 4 1/4 inches long, and I'm just going to layer them on the card. This one is probably 3/4 inches wide. This one's about a 1/2 inch wide. So we'll just layer these together just to kind of decorate the inside of the card. And then we'll stamp another little greeting in here, a little sentiment that says Happy Holidays. And then for the finishing touch, we will just embellish the card with a little poinsettia cut from the designer paper. Okay, so how adorable and fun is that? I hope you thought that was pretty simple. So let's go ahead and do the portrait style. So this is the landscape style. Now we're going to create it in portrait style. Okay, so for this card, we're still going to use the same size card base. So it's 5 1/2 by 8 1/2 inches. And then I just scored it at 4 1/4 inches in the middle. So it's scored in the middle. However, instead of cutting our cardstock this direction, we're going to turn it this direction to make the slices in the card. So we're going to actually work backwards. So it's 5 1/2 inches. This is 5 1/2 inches wide here. So I want to go set my card base here at 4 1/2 inches. And then I'm going to make the same cut. So I'm going to start at 1. And we will go up to 3. And now I want to slide this down 1 inch. So I'm on the 4 1/2 inch mark here. So I'm just going to slide it down 4 1/2 to 3 1/2. And we will make our second cut. So again, we're going to line it up on that 3 inch mark. And we go down to the 1. Okay, so here is our little space where we did our cutting. So I'm going to go ahead and stamp my greeting there. So this time I cut a piece of pattern paper that's 2 inches wide again, and it's 5 1/2 inches long, and that's so that it goes across the whole piece of cardstock this direction, since we're doing portrait style. All right, so we're going to slide this in here, and it's going to be just a little bit of a tight fit because, well, you're making it 2 inches, so you just got to play with it to kind of scoot it through there. Or you could cut your pattern paper just slightly smaller than 2 inches so it slides easier, whatever way you want to do that. All right, so let's add some glue to our cardstock. Add it to our pattern paper. And we'll go ahead and adhere this. And then we'll turn it around and adhere the other side. All right, so there you go. How simple was that? So now you have the exact same technique that you can use to create a landscape style card or to create a portrait style card. Okay, so let's go ahead and decorate this card. So again, I just cut out one of the poinsettias. This time I used kind of a cluster of 2. This came right from the designer paper, so I'm just going to add this right here to decorate it. And then of course we'll add some more of those fun metallic pearls. So this time I'll just put them kind of right around the greeting. Okay, how beautiful is that? Of course, you know I'm going to show you an inside decorating idea as well. Okay, so all I did for the inside is just first cut a 1 by 5 1/2 inch piece of pattern paper. So this is the main pattern that we used on the front of the card. And then I'm also using the back side. So this piece is a 1/2 inch by 5.5. So it just kind of makes a nice little decoration for the inside of the card. And then of course we'll stamp another little sentiment in there. Happy holidays. And then I'm just gonna add another one of those little poinsettias that I cut from the designer paper just to kind of decorate the card. So it's just kind of a fun way to dress up the inside of your card as well as the outside of your card. Okay, so here are some additional card ideas for you. Now I used the same pack of pattern paper. I just used a different pattern to create these cards, but I just wanted to kind of give you an idea that, you know, you can use any kind of pattern paper or cardstock that you have. So this one I just did on some white cardstock. Same exact concept as I just shared with you for creating this card. Just used different pattern paper and different sentiment. And then I just decorated it a little differently on the inside as well. And the same thing with this one. So you can see I cut out the smaller poinsettia images in this particular piece of pattern paper. And then this is how I decorated the inside. Okay, and here's what the cards look like side by side. The landscape and the portrait style. Okay, so there you go. Now you have 2 different ways that you can use this fun and simple paper cutting technique to create cards really for any occasion. Just change out the pattern paper and stamp set that you're using and you'll be on your way. And if you enjoyed these card ideas, feel free to download the printable tutorial. You can find the link in the description below this video. Thanks so much for joining me today. If you enjoyed this video, please let me know by liking it and sharing it with your friends. And leave me a comment below to let me know what you enjoyed most about the video and the cards shared here today. Have a fun and creative day, my friends. Take care.